Good evening. What a great sound and a great band. Let's give a round of applause for the Rockabilly Cats. You'll get a chance to hear them a little later. I'm Cora Scott, Director of Public Information and Civic Engagement for the City of Springfield. Welcome to the birthplace of Route 66, Roadside Park. It was less than 3 months ago that a group of us gathered here to break ground for the official start of construction on what is sure to be one of Springfield's most photographed and eventually most recognized spots. We have several special guests here with this evening. Please join me in welcoming Mayor Bob Stevens, City Councilman Jerry Compton and Craig Fischel, City Manager Greg Burris and Assistant City Manager Colin Quigley. I see former Senator Norma Champion in the crowd this evening. Missouri State University Library Services Tom Peters. We have Park Board Representatives Director Bob Belote and Board Member Tim Shrike. Thank you for being here. And a very special guest we have here this evening is Mr. Ed Lipman. And Ed is a family member who helped found area businesses on the original Route 66. Ed's family actually started the Railhaven Motel at the corner of St. Louis and Glenstone. Thank you, Ed, for being here this evening. I think this is truly one of those evenings that we will look back fondly on and remember as a milestone moment in our community. Tonight is also special because it kicks off the 4th annual Birthplace of Route 66 Festival. Let's hear it for the festival. This year is bigger and better than ever. Various groups have partnered with us to make the festival possible, including the Best Western Route 66 Rail Haven. Thank you for being our title sponsor. The Missouri Route 66 Association and the West Central Neighborhood Alliance and the Urban District Alliance. Thank you all very much for putting on a great festival. Later this evening, the Springfield Greene County Park Board will host a drive-in movie, Back to the Future, at the Springfield Expo Center. I'm told by a very knowledgeable source, Springfield's historian in residence, Mr. John Sellars, that it's been 102 years since Springfield has had a drive-in movie theater. Is that right? How many of you snuck into a drive-in movie in the trunk of a car? Oh, good. Okay. I was afraid that was just me. I won't ask if anyone had their first kiss at a drive-in movie in Springfield. That might be, as we say in the city, too much information. The show starts at 9 p.m. and has limited parking, so be sure to head over there after the festivities here. Tomorrow morning, I'm told that many of you will be up in the wee hours to find a parking space for your special treasures. Thank you for bringing your special classic cars to Springfield for this amazing festival. Let's give a round of applause for our classic car owners. As you know, that show runs from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. in Park Central Square and the surrounding areas. For those of you who are extra enthusiastic, join us at 7:30 a.m. at Hollywood Regal Theaters for the Birthplace of Route 66 5K Run and Walk. How many people are coming to the 5K run at 7:30? All right. You'll get a free Route 66 t-shirt. Thank you, West Central neighbors and city planner Brendan Griesmer and all of the volunteers who are coming together to help us get off the couch and onto the Mother Road. Finally, I want to thank Dwight Glenn Productions and the Ozark Mountain Daredevils for allowing the city of Springfield to simulcast the Birthplace of Route 66 concert into the square tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. Let's hear it for the Daredevils. We have never tried this before, so we're hoping it goes off without a hitch. We have a 16 by 30 foot screen that we're going to put up at the gazebo. You're welcome to bring your lawn chairs, your furry friends, your not so furry friends, and join us for that live concert in Park Central Square. We have a spectacular lineup of music. We start with Springfield's own Mark Blue and Cindy Wolf. Next will be a cool rockin' band from Van Buren called Powder Mill. And finally, of course, the headlining act, the Springfield Ozark Mountain Daredevils. They'll be on at about 9:15 tomorrow night. Thank you again for coming out and supporting our celebration of Springfield's heritage at the birthplace of Route 66. Here to tell us more about that is Mr. History himself, the Executive Director of the absolutely amazing History Museum on the Square, Mr. John Sellars. You were there, weren't you?
Yes, I was. I was there 100 years ago. She's lost her mind, folks. I think all public information officers have to be so out there. But anyway, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about Route 66. I wrote it down so that I wouldn't veer off into other things that I'm wanting to do. Yeah, get on. In 1922, there were 116 different brands of cars and trucks registered in the United States. At about that same time, the U.S. Department of Agriculture was charged with the task of developing a system of highways spanning the country. By 1925, they had assigned over 70,000 miles of road with a new numbering system of east-west highways having even numbers and north-south highways with odd numbers. It was decided that the most important of these transcontinental routes would end in zero. The committee announced a decision in 1925 assigning the route from Chicago to the West Coast through Springfield with a designation of 60, and a route from Virginia to a point just south of Springfield with the number 62. This decision set off a chain of events involving John P. Woodard from Springfield, Cyrus Avery from Tulsa, and D.M. Pietmeyer, the chief engineer for the Missouri Highway Department, versus William Fields, the governor of Kentucky, in a delegation which refused to accept the numbers assigned and lobbied at all levels of government to get the numbers 60 and 62 reversed. By the spring of 1926, the commission charged with making the decisions as to the routes and numbers had reversed the decision and awarded the number 60 to the eastern route and offered the number 62 to the route promoted by Avery and Woodruff. Now, 62 sounds like 60 also, or second best. They were not going with that at all. The fight was on. So the decision in April of that year, Pietmeyer and Woodruff and Avery met in Springfield at the Colonial Hotel, and the decision was made to take the number 66. It sounded catchy and it was available, as opposed to the number 62, which had been offered. This decision was telegraphed to Washington from the telegraph office in the Colonial Hotel, and soon after approved by the committee. All partners were notified by August 11, 1926 of the formal decision, and signs began going up officially soon afterward on the Mother Road. The naming of the highway from here in Springfield was another of the many benefits to the citizens of Springfield developed and promoted by a man of incredible vision and commitment, John P. Woodruff. Mr. Woodruff, who had come to Springfield as an attorney for the railroad in 1904, was responsible for the building of the Woodruff Building, the Colonial, Kentwood Arms, and Sandstone Hotels, Hickory Hills Country Club, and the Frisco Building, and was a leader on the committees which brought Springfield, Missouri State University, the Federal Medical Center, and O'Reilly Hospital. In his role as the first president of the Route 66 Association, he worked tirelessly to promote the road as it grew and brought new visitors to towns like Springfield. We can be very proud of our city and its citizens and their participation in the history of Route 66, and we can look forward to many exciting events to come, like this one, as we celebrate our place as the birthplace of the Mother Road.
Thank you, John. It seems like every time I talk to you, I learn something new about Springfield's history or just history in general. If someone has a question about what happened when, our first answer is, let's call John. So I hope you don't mind us calling you all the time. We appreciate that. Here tonight to help celebrate our revitalization effort and shed some light on what this may mean for Springfield's future is our very own mayor. Please welcome the Honorable Bob Stevens.
Thank you all very much, and I'm delighted to see everybody here. I would like to help set the record straight. I think whenever people ask John a question, sometimes he just makes it up. So anyway, it's great to be a part of this special evening, the activities with the birth of Route 66, the art, the sign, and the festival that's going to go on tomorrow. I want to thank the citizens and organizations who helped us with the process that led us to today's ribbon cutting. You may have noticed we had a little problem with the ribbon a few minutes ago. That's from the dress rehearsal where we got excited, went ahead and cut it so we taped it back together. More than 2 years ago, with a little help from the city of Springfield, a group of citizens, business owners, and developers created the plan to revitalize the Mother Road, Route 66, and pay homage to an eclectic and unique development on the city's west side. Your ideas, your input, and your enthusiasm helped lead to this first step in creating a Springfield Route 66 destination, a roadside park that we're standing in now that we are hoping people from all over the world will come to enjoy. The Public Works Department has done the first phase of urban forest management near the birthplace of the Route 66 roadside park. And if you look around at the sidewalk, the mulch, the grass, the sod, the driveway, it's just phenomenal what they've managed to accomplish. Springfield was the first city in the nation to do a crowdsourcing campaign to raise funds for a Route 66 project. And both the New York Times and Success Magazine took note of that. And thanks to all of you who donated time, money, and energy to this campaign. I'm proud to announce the initial campaign achieved the goal of more than $15,000 to raise funds for the recreation of Red's giant Hamburg sign for the roadside park, and we are dedicating that sign this evening. Plans also include additional private fundraising for specific park elements and potential future phases. You can see some of those plans and ideas here tonight, and again at the booth at the festival tomorrow. You'll notice that over here in this area is the environmental cleanup that is going on in the West Meadows, and that cleanup is nearing completion. There will be a space for eventual public use over there, including a greenways trail and using prairie conservation methods. Again, thank you very much for coming out. Thanks to all of you who brought your wonderful cars and trucks out, and a final big thank you to those business owners and developers who stand poised to leverage their own dollars with ours. Thank you all for being here.
Speaking of that successful crowdsourcing campaign, we have Jason Graff and Tara Graff with us here this afternoon. Thank you so much for your work on that, donating your services to help us raise funds for the sign. Let's give a round of applause for crowdit.com. Mayor Stevens referenced several business owners and developers that have stepped forward to learn more about the city's renewed focus on Route 66. I'd also like to recognize Mark Cockram of Mother Road, Antiques and Uniques, just right down College Street, for being among one of the first business owners to see the potential specifically on this Grant to Kansas stretch of College Street. Thank you, Mark, for your trust. We know it's going to pay off in spades. Who else has been instrumental in preserving our Route 66 heritage? From business owners Bud Perry of Bud's Tire and Wheel, Gary Leonard, owner of Steak and Shake, to private organizations such as the History Museum, to higher education institutions like Missouri State University. And by the way, we'd like to congratulate Missouri State University Libraries for earning a $15,000 grant for an oral history project to tell the undertold stories of African Americans and other minority groups in the Ozarks, their experience with Route 66. Thank you, Dave Richards and Tom Peters, for your work and partnership on this endeavor. Let's give them a round of applause. Here to provide more perspective on the potential economic impact of the Route 66 revitalization is a man who's been promoting Springfield's Route 66 heritage for many years. One testament to that is his Best Western Route 66 rail haven on the corner of St. Louis and Glenstone. He has also recently purchased the former Rock Fountain Court on College Street with the intention of restoring it to its former glory. Odds are you've seen the impact of Gordon Elliott's dedication to Springfield. Name a board and he's likely been on it. A tour of Missouri State University also reveals his handiwork. The truth is, there's not many places in Springfield that do not reflect Gordon's influence. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Gordon Elliott.
Thank you, Cora. really excited about this development. And I've been to a lot of business meetings, but I can't think of anything I'm more proud of is the historical aspects of this one. From my childhood, my parents used to have friends in Oklahoma City, and we would travel down to Route 66 through Joplin, back to Kansas. And the two things I remember was, the government-shaped signs every 50 feet. The kids would look out the window, and they would try to read those signs, and we'd notify each other. The second thing was lunch. Back then, you didn't stop at a restaurant necessarily with a family, so you found a roadside park. And of course, for the kids, it was getting out of the back of that car that had no air conditioning and running around a little bit. So this brings back some real fond memories to have this roadside park here in Springfield. Well, first, let me tell you a little bit about the Rail Haven. We bought the Rail Haven in 1993 from Ward Chrisman, who was the owner of his estate. He was the owner of the Colonial Hotel also. And I bought it for a pretty good price. But I didn't realize till I got in how much it was going to cost to remodel. It cost a lot more to remodel it than I paid for it. But in the years that came after that, all the memorability we dug up, it appeared that there was so much there, so many stories, that we hired Rita Spears in '98, a local author, to write a book. And then she brought the story of the Littmans in, the stories of Elvis, the pictures we got from the Littmans, and all that information. And in that book, of course, the story of Elvis's mother following in the 55 Coupe Cadillac, stay at the Rail Haven, Elvis going down to visit her, and also we have many movie stars at that time that was before the flights really got good, so they'd drive across the country and they would stay at the Rail Haven because it was a Class Act motor lodge at the time. So the economic effect of that is, from our humble beginnings to revitalize it, we didn't have very much income, but that income has grown to a record of over $1 million a year last year. And that's from tour groups, cycle groups, individuals traveling the route. We've got the same people, but that really has put an increase. And the number of people that don't speak English, they're from Europe, and our people do a pretty good job of understanding them. Usually got somebody who can speak English from Europe. But that's been a big part coming, and I see that as a big economic boom to Springfield to get more of those people in here. I see along the roadway the number of gift shops that could be. Right up the street you have a lot of stores along it. Could be little gift shops like you see in Galloway. The things that are being done to the streetscape across the road will find themselves maybe in magazines. So I see that as a boom for business. People will buy up maybe businesses. People that are here, if they'll just put the Route 66 sign on it, that will help a lot. As we said earlier, the Rock Fountain Course is about a mile west of here. It's a beautiful little course, probably the prettiest one in town, and maybe one of the pretty ones I've seen. That's a complete circle, but it's boxed in with a business and out in front of it. So we bought, a realtor hit my soft spot, and I bought things that didn't make money before, so if it's a hobby, it's like a car, guys, isn't it? You don't make money off those cars, but it's your hobby and you love it. So we ended up buying that, and we bought the property next door. And my hope is that I make some arrangement or do something to facilitate a Reds next door to it, so that people can pull a bus in there, a car in there, a motorcycle. They can eat at Greg's and have, they shouldn't do it every day. That's ours, hamburger. So they can have a sandwich, and I want them to go over and just take pictures of the court. It's not commercially viable because I don't think the comfort level would be that great for you. It's kind of small, but it looks great on the outside. Maybe a gift shop in there. So we're looking maybe if we can do that. The future of this is spread out from downtown for 4 to 5 miles. If we can talk about the Rail Haven, we were able to get that Springfield sign that was there in 1951 when the big truck spun around, hit it, knocked it over, and everybody in town went out to see the wreck of 51 on Whetstone in St. Louis. And the sign was down. It's never been the picture since, so we had that recreate last year, and it kind of says, okay, this is where Springfield began back then. That's where Springfield was when the Route 66 was there. So I think there's a bright future. I think if I could recommend anything that we got to do, we've got to get into the media markets of Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, travel magazines. They need to see this as a potential. And as to Europe, if we can get into the media markets over there, where they're on the television shows, that's why these people are coming over to see television. We can do that. The visitors and convention bureaus doing a good job. We can get people to come. So thank you very much for inviting me, and it's a pleasure to see this project.
Thank you, Gordon, and thank you for investing in this vision of a revitalized Route 66 through Springfield. We certainly want to be the stop along Route 66 right here in Springfield, Missouri. The gateway that Gordon referenced, you can see a rendering of what that might look like at the corner of Grant and College, and then a second one at the corner of Grant and Kansas, and we have those up. Those are just illustrations to show what could come next in this particular area of Route 66. How many people here live in this neighborhood? Is anybody here from the neighborhood? Yay, thank you so much. How many of you participated in some of those early discussions about 2 years ago in meetings mapping out this College Street corridor? Thank you so much. Thank you, Vern, and Mike McPherson and the planning department for hosting those public input sessions. And thank you to the citizens, especially in the neighborhood, who came forward and gave us the idea to create a roadside park and other things around the Route 66 theme. We really appreciate your input and your continued support on that. One group of neighbors in particular has done a great job of coming to the table time and again. Here to speak on behalf of the West Central Neighborhood Association is Mr. Rusty Worley.
All right, good evening and welcome to West Central. It's a beautiful night here. It's a beautiful sight to see all your faces here enjoying this great facility. We're proud to have you here, and it's an exciting time to be in West Central. We have the developments of downtown, the Hearst Building finally starting, which is a huge momentum for our downtown and our city. And we have our festival tomorrow, this roadside park. Many of you, I drove past Mother's Brewery that was stocked with people enjoying a Friday night. And then we have the future of West Meadows just overlooking this park. So a lot of positive things happening in our West Central neighborhood. As I look out in this crowd, I see those people who have invested in this neighborhood long term. Nancy's grandparents live just over on Walnut Street, Nancy Dornan. She and Tom have invested long term in this neighborhood. I see Clarence McElroy, who has several houses down the street. Of course, we talked about Mother's Brewery. If you haven't checked out Mark Conkrum's Mother Road Antiques and Uniques, I strongly encourage you to get down. It's a beautiful store that's just getting started. Lots of momentum and energy, and again, it's an exciting time to be here. I wanted to just call out that it's the amenities like this roadside park and the remarkable development that we have downtown that's bringing a point of pride to our urban neighborhoods. And that pride is critical to their revitalization. We have 6,000 people who live in the West Central neighborhood. Over the past 5 years, we've had artists, professors, teachers, and families moving back to our neighborhood. We encourage you to be a part of that revitalization, celebrate the history that we have here at Route 66 and throughout downtown, and we invite you to enjoy and be proud of being a part of the birthplace of Route 66.
Thank you, Rusty, and the neighbors from West Central. Let's get this show on the road. City of Springfield Director of Planning, Ralph Rognstad, is here to lead us in a special dedication, followed by the official and a little different type of ribbon cutting of Phase 1 of the birthplace of Route 66 Roadside Park. Please join me in welcoming Ralph Rognstad.
Thanks. Very great to see this crowd, and I think you got the band cranked up to play us a song. Well, maybe not.
Maybe they're on lunch break.
You guys ready to go? Well, there's always some glitching. You guys just start when you're ready. I'll start talking. Red and Julia Cheney and their sign were icons on Route 66, and they epitomized the entrepreneurial spirit that drove John T. Woodruff to begin to develop and promote the development of Route 66. That story is chronicled this month or this quarter in the Route 66 Show Me magazine that's put out by the Missouri Route 66 Association, and they also are great promoters of the road and try to preserve that history. So if you have a chance to read that, you should, and join the association to support the effort. You guys ready now? Let's hit it.
Red!
You guys got to crank it up.
You got another song? You're ready. Red! Yeah. This guy's got to come to rehearsal. Is there going to be another time? Is there going to be another time? Okay. Now I'm going to start keeping score. You better. We'll be tested on this. This is what you're Red! Red! Red!
All right. You Google that on YouTube, you can see it performed by the Morels. It's really good. And they did it actually at Red, so you need to go look at that. As has been mentioned, we use crowdfunding to help or to fund the project, and I wanted to recognize a few people who were donors. We had quite a few donors, but the bigger ones, we got $500 each from Clarence McElroy and the Chevelle Club, $1,000 from Councilman Craig Fischel and IV, $2,500 from Guy Mace, and then the West Central Neighborhood Alliance donated $4,250. A large portion of that came from proceeds from the last year's Birthplace Route 66 Festival.
Put yourself on the report.
So they've been a real good supporter of that, and the group that we worked with, or the company, was Crowded. Sarah and Jason Graff have been introduced, but not only to help us run it, but they donated the fee that they would normally collect back to the project, so they actually were one of the contributors. We also had the support from Jeff Schrog and Mother's Brewery. They helped sponsor several events. We had a event for potential investors. Then they also had an incentive, or they did the kickoff for the crowdfunding at the brewery, and then they offered an incentive that a number of people donated to give. I'd also like to thank the Community Foundation of the Ozarks. They've set up a special fund, and we're continuing to collect funding for the park. Most of the features that will be developed in the park will come through funds from the community. They are not funds that are, from other city funds that have been dedicated to other projects. And if you'd like to make a donation, you can talk to me or to staff. I'm constantly trying to raise money. And finally, I'd like to thank all of the city staff who worked on this project from the planning phase through the crowdfunding and now the implementation. This has been a real team effort for everybody to get this done, and it really has brought a lot of people together who have a real interest in the Mother Road as well as just making Springfield a better place. So now we've got to the point that everybody's been waiting for, and that's the ribbon cutting, and we've got a unique way that we're going to do that. So we're going to bring the car up, drive it through the ribbon.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Don't scratch that car. Put all that extra tape on there.
Thank you all for coming. Please enjoy refreshments. We're going to pick it up again with the Rockabilly Cats, and we hope to see you tonight at the drive-in movie and tomorrow at the festival. Thanks for coming.
As long as we would keep it. It's like a walk. You do? Yeah.